Okay, so regarding the Indian trucker situation, because I'm using that to bring forth my conversation about my experience, I'm only going to focus on Indians. So I work in the tech world. I was responsible a couple of years ago for leading a team of IT professionals. And I had an Indian recruiter whose job was to provide me with resumes to fill positions on my team of people she supposedly vetted and deemed qualified for the roles. And two things happened at once. I noticed that every person she sent over, 99% of the time, was Indian. And most times they were from this specific agency, employment agency or staffing agency. Then I also noticed that every time I would interview these people, 8 times out of 10, they would look different than the LinkedIn profile. They wouldn't be able to answer basic questions that anyone who was qualified should be able to answer. And so I confronted her finally, and I said, firstly, I noticed that almost everyone you send over to me as a candidate is Indian. I also noticed that they come from the same agency usually. And then I also noticed that most of them are not qualified or don't even appear to be the person they presented themselves to be. And so she eventually was investigated and fired. However, my point is, the trucking industry is not the only industry where we have Indians who have fraudulent and illegitimate credentials. So because my original video did get some good engagement and I had to end it abruptly because I had a phone call, I'm going to come back and give some context. So firstly, my department was headed by an Indian man. And honestly, like 99.9% of the people in his department were Indian. I was very shocked that he hired me, but then I realized, he has to leave room for others because then it would look too suspicious if every single person that works for him is Indian. Talking about the LinkedIn profile, I would do all of my interviews on Microsoft Teams, and I would be able to tell automatically that the person I was looking at was not the person in the LinkedIn profile. I also noticed that most of the times they were fidgety, they were distracted, they seemed nervous, and they could not hold a natural conversation about things that were supposed to be, their everyday life in the workplace, things they were skilled at and experienced in. I also noticed that many of them would have a ton of credentials or certifications, because in the tech world, if you know, certifications are the key to success. They would have a ton of certifications all completed within like a year. And they would have all of these different jobs, like over the course of a year or 2 years, 5 or 6 jobs. Those were red flags for me. I noticed that the people that did work on my team, the Indians, they were, not all of them of course, but some of them would take forever to complete simple tasks. And sometimes I would have to go back and forth with them. But the most unsettling thing for me is how I have literally witnessed America roll out the red carpet for these people to come to this country by bypassing certain things with the visa process. They prioritize sponsoring them, and they fight tooth and nail. They invest a lot of money and resources into navigating all of the red tape to get them to America and give them these positions that make them feel like they are superior to Americans, that they are so much more important to America than America is important to them, because we need them. They're smarter than us. They're more capable than us. And again, we're literally rolling out the red carpet for them, and they're taking full advantage of it and bringing their people in regardless of expertise and regardless of qualifications. We are making it possible for them to do what they're doing. So my last couple of videos regarding Indians using fraudulent credentials to get great opportunities in the tech industry got a lot of engagement and some really interesting and diverse comments. And one of the main takeaways for me is the bigger issue is that America has too many loopholes that can be exploited. And foreigners, not all of course, but a lot of foreigners, they are literally seeing America as a sitting duck and as a mark. And they are strategizing ways to take advantage of those loopholes, to bypass the laws and the regulations, and where we are too relaxed, they're skirting around things. And they are lucratively taking advantage of our weaknesses. And so I don't want to conflate the issues, because yes, there are Americans, people born in America, who do the same thing day in and day out. Billionaires who are every day finding new ways to not pay their fair share of taxes, who are finding ways to get things deregulated and to do unethical things because it's going to make them more money. So yes, that is a completely legitimate issue, but that is also a separate issue, and I'm not conflating those two issues. My issue that I'm bringing forward is America needs to safeguard our systems, our processes, our country better, so that it is not as exploitable as it is right now, because obviously it is easy to take advantage of this country. We're seeing it with the discussion that I had about Indians and their fraudulent credentials. There are so many other examples of this. But yeah, my point is America needs to do a better job of safeguarding our country on every level.